Hello, gorgeous. My name is Gia Garcia. I'm an etiquette consultant under Royal Charter of His Majesty King Charles III. We're going to look at an account on Instagram called Passenger Shaming. The person who created this account was a flight attendant. She applies her own experiences on how people should act, the safety behind it, the reason, the rhyme. To remind you, etiquette is all about reading the room and kindness. It is not hard, fast rules. Here is how to act on an aircraft. Subscribe, click the bell if you want more elegance with a personality. Tell all your friends and watch this several thousand times. From now on, I am going to bring wipes absolutely everywhere I go. I thought people were a bit over the top when it came to disinfecting the screens, arm handles, seats when they were out in public, but it does make sense to do it on an aircraft, especially when you're on there for a certain period of time. The longest flight I have been on was 68 hours, and it was obviously stopping. There's no such thing as that much fuel and that large of an aircraft. It makes sense if you're going to lie there, sit there, breathe that air to disinfect everything. Use your hands. I know you're feeling lazy, you feel like you're at home, but remember that you're in public. Keep your socks on. The number one thing on aircraft is to keep your socks on. Don't walk around barefoot. Don't walk in the airport with flip-flops or sandals. If you do, I used to actually do this quite a bit, but I would wear socks. I used to travel a lot. I've been to over 40 countries, 40 countries by the time I was 23 years old. Even more countries after that on my own. Stopped counting after 23 because I didn't travel as much internationally. When I did pack, it was very minimal. I would have sandals. I live here in Los Angeles all throughout the year. It's sunny. It makes sense to wear sandals. It's really hot. You want your feet to breathe and not stink when you take off your shoes. But it also collects a lot of dust. In the city, the etiquette is to wear closed-toed shoes. And you'll find this a lot in Europe. People adhere to this protocol. Your toes will be black here in Los Angeles if you do wear sandals. Even if I did have sandals, I would have really thick wool socks that were breathable or cotton. In a higher altitude, it would get much colder. I will always wear socks. You do not want to be barefoot in a hotel. At least bring some slippers that are foldable, that are collapsible. Put them over your socks because you don't want to be carrying all that bacteria around with you. This makes me feel sick watching this. This is grounds for jail. This person is applying lotion to their feet. Grooming is something you do in the lavatory. This is not the type of grooming that you do out in public. Say, for example, if you have something on your face or you need to touch up your lipstick or you need to fix your hair, something on your outfit, go to the lavatory. It's for quick fixes. If you are on a long flight and you feel dry, do this when you land. It makes absolutely zero sense because you're also touching everything. The worst part about this is this person is going to go out and touch all of these things when they're at the airport or even just on the aircraft. Leave your shoes on. I can see that the person has shoes at the bottom of their seats. It's not that difficult. It's just a few hours. If you're really having a tough time with circulation and need a massage, wear compression socks. They're very affordable on Amazon. You'll see nurses wearing them because they're on their feet all day. If you really want circulation, get up, stretch, and walk around when you're permitted to, not when it says to keep your seatbelt on. Also, you're not aware of your own scent. It might be something that you are used to. I have experienced this where people don't know their own bodily fragrances, so they assume that everyone else around them will immediately accept it. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen this before or if you're a person who thinks this is okay. I would like to see the logic and reasoning behind it because I cannot find a single thing that is easily debunked. Allegedly, someone is videotaping this woman's feet. This is highly inappropriate. There is someone in the comments saying they're just filming your feet, so what? Or taking pictures of your feet, so what? It's not up to you to tell what someone else can do with their body or profit off of or get turned on or turned off of. I think that's really weird that someone actually commented that. I don't know if they're trolling, if that's a joke. It's also possible that someone is taking pictures to send to their friends saying someone's feet really stinks and they quickly took a picture to text it to their friend. This is plausible. If someone feels uncomfortable with this, with their feet being taken footage of or pictures of, they can immediately show the flight attendant and say, can you please not do this? Please put it away. It's someone else's privacy. This is a violation. They can easily prove it by showing a text and saying, I was just doing it because it was fragrant. In public is not the place to do this. Peeping toms are not kosher. It's against the law. It depends on the state also. If someone doesn't consent, I don't think this is technically considered a private place. It could be, but let me know in the comments below if there's like a maritime law for an FAA that says if you're up in the aircraft, technically it's private because it's a private business that owns the airline, or it could be a state-funded airline like Turkish Airlines does. Let me know in the comments below because there are so many moving parts to this. I would be shocked if this happened to me, and I would say something to the flight attendant right away, feeling uncomfortable. It's really creepy. Tuna on an aircraft, eggs on an aircraft. I get fast food because that's what's available at the airport. I understand if someone is trying to eat healthy, they bring a salad, they have some boiled eggs. Gulp them down really fast without chewing them if you can, like a snake with the shape of the food in their neck. Tuna just really strong smelling, and I know a lot of people with weak stomachs that I'm very surprised that they get sick just by seeing something or smelling something. You cannot be the one in charge of someone else's fate in this sense in the air, especially since you're trapped in a tuna can itself. It's just recycled air going in and out, a pressurized cabin. Recirculated air should keep a healthy balance of not the pH completely changing. I live in an apartment building where it smells like curry 24/7. I had a friend tell me that that's not a big deal because curry is delicious. I said, but it's 24/7. You don't live in it. It becomes your entire aura. When you go somewhere else, people can smell it on you. To give that unwanted gift to everyone on the plane, you also don't know if someone is just averse to fish. Someone can't have fish. You never know. I would stick to food that doesn't smell as strong. You don't want to distract other people with their eyes watering with the scent of your flavors. I highly discourage any type of grooming that leaves bodily debris afterwards. Any type of public place, transportation, if you do have a genuine mess that happens, say for example, if you broke your nail, I think it's perfectly admissible in court on a flight to go to the bathroom and file it really quick, but don't file anything, don't clip anything, don't trim your nose hairs out in public. Anytime you are sweating and emitting something or leaving something behind. I sweat a lot, but I will go into the bathroom and wash my underarms as opposed to layering deodorant on it. That adds more gunk and becomes more problematic in the long run. Cleanly is a matter of simply going to the lavatory. Remember, it's really easy for your nails to fly everywhere. When I'm clipping my nails and I think I got everything in the bin, the next day I'll brush my teeth and see one random nail on the sink. Imagine what that's like in public where other people are going to sit in future. Once you leave that aircraft, you don't know who's sitting next to you or who's sitting in your seat, or if someone, it's unsightly. It's polite to wait, do it at home or wherever you're staying. Wait, it's not a rush thing. You think that you have all this time, so you're gonna groom in a private place.
December 6th, Delta flight from New Orleans to Atlanta. This woman boards her flight. She's in the middle seat. On the window is another woman. She sits down, and then a man comes and sits in the aisle seat. This man, who she says is having a phone conversation wherein he loudly refers to the all-female flight crew as Nazis and strippers, and says stuff like, "I dare these Nazis to come tell me to get off my phone." So right away, she's kind of concerned for the flight staff. She says he has a couple of phone conversations where he talks about a myriad of topics. He talks about all the in D.C. and how he can't wait for them all to be exposed and taken out. He talks about a recent Doge report from Elon Musk that says only 1% of federal employees show up to work, just spouting a bunch of ridiculous conspiracy theories. But the flight's ready to take off, so he hangs up his phone and he goes to sleep. And that's when the groping starts. She says, while he's asleep, he puts his head on her shoulder and she says, "Hey, stop that," pushes him off. Then he puts his arm around her and she elbows him and says, "Get off me, stop that." Then, in his sleep, he puts up the armrest, and that's when he starts moving his hand to her leg. This photo and the video that I show you wasn't taken by her. It was taken by the woman sitting in the window seat who witnessed this happening and told her, "I'm retired FBI, I'm documenting this." That was the time that he slid his hand to her inner thigh and tried to touch her crotch. She elbowed him, told him to f*** off, and all the while he never woke up, never acknowledged her. Now, she didn't let flight crew know because she and the woman in the window agreed that they were afraid that he was dangerous and would harm them. And the woman's like, "I'm documenting it. I'm reporting him as soon as we land." So they were just trying to deal with him. And before you come with she shoulda, I woulda, you're not in the situation. You weren't there. You don't know for sure what you would do. So please spare those comments. But then the flight lands. And as they're landing, he wakes up. It's a miracle. And then in those moments, as she's sitting there still processing what has happened, he turns to her. He's never acknowledged her at any point before this, she said. Never spoke to her before this. Turns to her and says, I'm sorry. I didn't sleep last night. And I thought you were my wife. And yeah, dude, I noticed your wedding ring. You thought she was your wife, so you know what you did. You know what you were doing, and you were trying to justify it with, I was just sleeping. That's the reason that my one hand's on my and the other one is groping you, because I thought you were my wife. You piece of... She's flustered, she's scared, and she has 20 minutes to catch her connecting flight. So the woman who is sitting at the window says, you go, I'm going to report him. Here's my number. She takes off for her flight. That woman does report him to the flight crew and to the gate attendants. And you know what they say? Should have told us during the flight. Not really anything we can do about it now. Now, I'll give them this. I could see them saying that because the victim is not there, right? But she went on to contact Delta later. You know what Delta said? Should have told her flight crew. They're trained for this. We don't care that you were looking out for their safety and well-being. You should have told them. So now, guess we can't do nothing. She contacted the FBI as well, at the behest of that retired agent. You know what the agent she spoke to said? What were you doing in New Orleans? Why were you there? Not relevant, but I was there for work. Okay, when did you first interact with him? In the airport? Were you guys talking? Were you hanging out? Did you have drinks with him? What did you do to make him think this was okay? What part of this was your fault? Was essentially the takeaway that she got. This is why I have to do this. Because the system, time and again, fails victims, blames victims, gaslights them into thinking that somehow it was their fault because they're just lazy and inept and don't care. And so here we are. This has to happen. This has to make the community rise up and say, no, this is unacceptable. So New Orleans or Atlanta, because I don't know where he was coming or going. Take a close look at this. He said things on the phone call, she said, that led her to believe that he's a physician. But I promise someone knows who this guy is. And he has a wife who I'd really, really like to make sure sees what he did when he thought it was her while sleeping. So, someone, do me a favor and tell me who he is.
This is crazy on so many levels. First off, I was not there. I don't have a primary account. I will say, stand up for yourself in the moment. This is easier said than done, especially because as women, you don't want to be seen as tough. Or I'm trying to find a nice way to say what I'm trying to say. You don't want to be seen as difficult. But there is a time to be difficult, and it's when you don't want to get stepped on like this, you don't want to be taken advantage of like this. You have every right to stand up for yourself in this scenario. Ladies, gentlemen, anyone who is in a type of situation like this, if there is one time and place to scream, to bring negative attention to yourself, it's when you need help. Just scream help, and make a big scene so that this person is embarrassed, so that people will come to your aid, especially since there are people around you. This woman said that in the moment, she didn't want to escalate the situation because this person could be dangerous. You don't know, which is really scary. I can say that firsthand, I have been in a similar situation. I did scream for help. There was a person watching and they didn't help. They didn't know what to do because it's such a shocking moment. So I understand that retrospectively, we want to have a different outcome. And we say, next time this happens, I am not going to let this happen, and say something. She was probably shaking in her shoes. I totally understand this. We will all learn from this. All people who experience something as aggressive as this, scream, say something, say something, say something, to do your part to show to the airlines, to the flight crew, that you did everything you could in your power to let everyone know that this was happening. You don't know if this person is going to attack anyone. He might just get restraint on the plane if they don't want to deboard. I don't know if they have enough fuel, whatever the scenario may be. I have seen situations where people are tied or taped down. This is the time to say something, to scream, to make a ruckus, and to bring attention to yourself. Don't hold back. Help yourself first and foremost, especially in a situation that you don't know what else this guy could do. You don't want to further this. Ask for a different seat. Get up, press the button, let everybody know around you. Tell someone to record it if you need so that they could give it to the airlines, the flight crew there, and show it to them. Ask for all the help you can. Tell other people around you, point it out, make it obvious if he's actually sleeping or not. I hate this guy. I really don't want anybody to be in this situation. I don't care about his conspiracy theories. People are crazy. There are all sorts of people with weird beliefs. I'm Jewish. I've experienced people being anti my religion. My sweetheart is Muslim. I don't condone this, but everybody has their opinions. Not everyone's going to agree with them. I'm not a free speech absolutist. This channel is a really good example of that. It's good to have courtesy. It's good to filter yourself. And this man did not do that. This is really difficult. It's really uncomfortable. You don't want to be that person. That's why the whole Me Too movement happened. You don't want to be that person who's seen as the one in the wrong because you're calling this person out. That does happen. I've seen this. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Some people might want to clock him in the neck. Some people will take his hand off of this person. He obviously knows what he did was wrong. He said, "I thought you were my wife." It was not acknowledged to him what he was doing, but he already knew. It's kind of like when the person who commits the crime shows up to the crime scene without being asked where it is. I don't know if he had something to drink, not excusing his actions because of alcohol. I am noting this because of the opposite. Your behavior is amplified in a pressurized cabin. Essentially what happens is the effects of alcohol is something that you feel more, which causes problems for the flight crew, which is typically why they don't allow inebriated passengers to board if they can see that they've had a little bit too much at the gate. They don't want to have to deboard in the middle of a flight and reroute. It's a waste of fuel, it's a waste of time, it messes with everyone else who's there. The airline has to spend a lot for getting people new flights, new arrangements, possibly hotel rooms. There are two types of drinkers. This is my personal opinion. There are the "I'm your best friend," then there are the aggressive. However, I find him to be a mix of the two. First thing he did was not favorable, mentioning controversies. This includes politics, religion, children, divorce, and Radiohead. If you know, you know. If you are with really close individuals if you are really close with other individuals who have similar views, who happen to be on the flight, that's one thing. If your group of friends likes to discuss touchy topics and you guys align in the way you see the world, that's perfectly fine. However, to strangers or sitting next to new people whom you do not know, avoid it. If someone does talk to you about controversial topics that you do not want to get into and you want this to be a peaceful flight, not necessarily friendly, simply be polite and kind. Kind does not mean nice. Kind simply means courteous and considerate, good-hearted in nature. You don't have to agree to everything they said. A simple nod and polite expression. You don't have to be smiling ear to ear. I'm the type to keep to myself on a flight. I will talk to a person if it's the last 2 minutes of deboarding the flight. If you see someone trying to keep to themselves or trying to sleep or have their earphones on, let them be in peace. If you can feel someone's energy backing away from you as you do try to talk with them, for example, giving you short, polite responses as opposed to asking you questions back or continuing the conversation, leave them alone. Immediately press the flight attendant button so that someone can help you right away. You want to be in the right where you reported things right away. However they react is up to them, and I mean all parties involved. You have to do your part. So you say, "I told the airline, I told the flight crew this to avoid any future incidences with the airline." Retrospectively, there's nothing they can do, but you know you did everything in your part to avoid the situation and ask to be seated somewhere else. You can even react and say, "I karate chopped you on accident because it was a reflex." I think that's perfectly admissible to stand up for yourself in this way because someone is trying to touch you inappropriately, so defend yourself. Let the flight attendants know that you are in distress. They will handle it. They are prepared for this. Your safety and comfort is not to be neglected when it comes to a flight. I don't care how long it is. This is something that needs to be solved right away. If you're a person who's not confrontational, or you don't have the ability, you don't have the courage to do such a thing, if you're not that kind of person like I am, I believe every woman or every person, even if this was another man, he would definitely get into some sort of trouble, especially with a man. Everybody's under a lot of stress when they're traveling. Everybody wants to get somewhere as peacefully as possible, and they feel the pressure because they have a lot of money on the line. There are a lot of things to consider here, and you have to think fast, which is really stressful. And I can't imagine. I'm really sorry for this woman who was put in this situation. I would want to scream. Here is the update of what happened to this person.
Yeah, the general consensus from pretty much everyone who's seen the video is that he was not sleeping. If for some reason you are not one of the 21 million people on TikTok who's already seen that video, you could click that comment and go back to it and watch it and then come back to this. But for everyone else, as this alludes, yes, we did find him. The victim says that is him 1,000%. Him being Dr. Wesley B. Vanderlyn, a trauma surgeon who's worked out of New Orleans but now resides in Florida. And this came from a lot of sources. There were a bunch of people who kind of just put it together on their own. But then I'd say I had upwards of like 15 people who know him, who've worked with him or had some sort of run-in with him, who came to me and said, like, I know who that is. And most of them didn't have good things to say. Now, of course, from there, I sought out images of him to show to the victim, which I did. But also there's other things like kind of the very distinctive wedding ring. And it's also kind of great when they're wearing the same sweater that they were wearing in the incident in photos on their Facebook page. And then I found his Twitter. And remember how she said that he was spouting all of this weird stuff about DC and all of these like conspiracy theories that kind of align with like QAnon and whatnot? Well, he is definitely a fan of this guy. As far as QAnon's concerned, I mean, he thinks that Michael Flynn, Mr. QAnon himself, should be director of the CIA. And he had some generally shitty posts like mocking Jimmy Carter the day he died. But one that kind of stood out to me was where there was an article about how a flight attendant on SpaceX claimed that Elon Musk had exposed himself to her and propositioned her for and that they had paid her off to silence her. And he didn't believe her. He called bullshit on that. Truly shocking that this guy didn't believe women. Now, I had told you all that I was going to send his wife the video, and I did. I sent it to her on Messenger, and I'm fairly certain that she saw it, because while she didn't respond to me, for one, she made her account on Facebook private after I did re-message her and say, you should probably make your account private because I'm going to post this video. And honestly, she wasn't there and didn't participate, so she doesn't have to have a bunch of people telling her about her husband. I mean, she can see for herself. But also, she's listed as the president of this company, where he is the doctor for them at MedExclusive. And if you go to their website and scroll down to the bottom, you'll see this Meet Dr. Vanderlyn. If you click on that today, it looks like this. The page seems to have disappeared. But before I sent the video, it looked like this. So, definitely doing some scrubbing. Also, I went ahead and sent him the video on Twitter and asked if he cared to comment, and he didn't respond to me either. But he did change his username and make his account private, which is probably a good idea, because while what we see in this video here is disturbing, there's some stuff that was on his Twitter that could maybe prove problematic, especially when it comes to like his medical license. Like when you make posts like this that seem like perhaps you're biased against people who are Muslim, that you're pushing that Muslims are invading Europe and this has always been their thing. Or when you share like vaguely transphobic stuff like this, claiming that Michelle Obama is actually a man, and despite the fact there's community notes calling that out as bull, you're kind of doubling down on it. Or when you share posts claiming that Barack Obama was our first gay president, and it doesn't seem that you're calling Michelle Obama a man or you're calling Barack Obama gay as compliments, which means you seem to think that that's some sort of detractor or some sort of insult, that could be problematic. Also, as a medical professional, sharing memes that joke about and mock AIDS victims, not really a great look. When you're a trauma surgeon and people's lives are in your hands, usually they don't want to worry about whether or not they think you may not work as hard for someone based on their religion or their orientation, etc. Not saying that he's doing that, but this kind of stuff can call it into question. Now, the victim has his information, and she's turning it over to Delta and the FBI, and I truly hope something comes from that, and I will keep you posted. In the meantime, I just don't understand why people who are like this are like this. Looking at the profile like on Facebook, seems like you have a pretty great life. family trips to Greece and to Italy. I mean, living the dream. And yet, all the people who reached out to me who know him are like the most common description: creep, aggressive, abrasive, making for uncomfortable work environments with the topics that he would talk about. Sounds a lot like that loud phone conversation. What is there to be upset about, man? What is there to be so angry and obnoxious about, other than you've just been able to get away with it and do whatever you want? I think that time's coming to an end.
I'm actually not that surprised that he's a trauma surgeon, because a thing that floats around the healthcare system, not all surgeons, but a lot of surgeons are known to be divas. It's not a blanket statement. This is just from what I heard from someone who worked in a hospital. They were the ones in charge because their expertise is so technical. You really need them. So when you do have them, you kind of have to take care of them in the hospital, but it's just self sense of superiority, narcissism, if you want to say. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist who can diagnose him. There's only I think it's 0.5% of the United States population are diagnosed narcissists. It's a word that has become a part of our lexicon, easily thrown out there, especially with the internet and mental health and horrible relationships. You can have traits of narcissism, but not be a narcissist. So that's something to consider. He was wearing scrub pants, which has me all kinds of concern for his patients, which is definitely something that does worry people, especially with bedside manner, and he does put people under. He put his social media in private because he would probably be having a lot of threats. I get death threats when I post positive things. I can't imagine if you actually do something bad and it's on the internet. He is also not asleep, makes this even more gross. I personally don't care for ad hominem attacks. I believe that is a straw man argument. You can simply tear him apart by the thing that he did wrong. That is more than enough to ruin his reputation. In a lot of cultures, parts of the world, and in a lot of professions, your reputation is absolutely everything, and that's more than enough to destroy you. He will always be a creep. This is quite shameful. A lot of people are coming out with even more stories about him, who he is as a person as a whole. People will immediately forget about everything good you ever did in your life if you do one thing bad, especially if it's as bad as this. I don't know how he can redeem himself, even if he does apologize. Social media apologies, I don't think that they really do anything. This is a lot of main character energy. As someone who had a wonderful father growing up who did yoga every single morning, and he had a lot of Eastern philosophy that he lived by. It truly is a lifestyle, but you don't have to present it to everyone. He never did anything like this. I don't know anybody who's done anything like this and made it difficult for other people to board a flight. I don't know why he's barefoot on a plane. It's unhygienic, not just spreading around your own germs onto the flight and putting his feet up in the air near people's heads, which drives me crazy. If you want to do this, you can stretch, but you're putting on a show and you're trying to get attention. If you want to have art history degree behavior, go to an art history degree behavior place, a yoga studio. I know people personally who would pick him up if he was on the ground and turn him around and make him walk in a very passive aggressive but polite manner. They are very strong people who would do this physically and in personality. Please go or try to go around him. If I've said excuse me a couple times already, this is very rude. You're holding up people behind you. I don't know if this is a skit or a prank. This person needs to be taught that they're not the only person who exists. Their need for attention in a negative manner. If you want positive attention, do positive things. This is not putting positivity out into the world, no matter how you want to twist it. Pun intended. We've established that I am anti-barefoot in airplanes. I am especially anti-barefoot near someone's head. There are a couple layers that we need to peel back. It's the fact that this person needs to stretch. If you need to stretch, stretch. Get up and stretch. Get out of your seat and stretch. If you want to feel comfortable, get the exit aisle seat. I am 5'2.5". I understand what it means to fly. I have flown on over 80 flights easily. I'm talking full aircrafts flying internationally. They say that flights on taller people are much more difficult because they're in a confined space. People want to keep their circulation and their sanity. So put on some compression socks, walk up and down the aisle, do some quick stretches, not a yoga stretch where you're in people's way. Always, 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 always be out of people's way as much as possible. It looks like that's what this person is trying to do, but they're foregoing the notion that there might be someone in the seat in front of them. Also, it's really uncomfortable if not just feet are hanging over you. If the person doesn't know what their feet smell like, they might That's another factor. When someone is controlling your chair, you do need that little couple inches of space and room sometimes, because the majority of the United States, we're known for being larger people, statistically speaking, not necessarily morbidly obese being on a flight, but a little bit overweight, because we don't have the ability to walk everywhere as people in other nations do, or we don't necessarily have the most reliable transport that give us the necessity to walk somewhere. There are not a lot of stations because it's more spread out here, so we have a tendency to sit all day, 8-hour days in an office, have a few kids, come home to a lot of work to be done, and you have to drive, your commute is long. We're not naturally a slim people who walk every day, so we're not naturally at a deficit in our lifestyle. So you have to make a conscious effort to go to the gym. That little space, that little 2 inches of leaning back in your chair when you press that button, unless you're in business or first class, that matters. That's your space. You paid for that space. And when someone's pushing on your chair, that's really uncomfortable. You have to consider every single little detail when it comes to courtesy for others, because you want to understand how they're feeling. When I spend a lot of money on a long flight, that I want to be as comfortable and peaceful as possible without having to confront someone about something as disagreeable as this. You don't want to have any situations like this, so avoid them entirely, prevent them entirely by not having your feet up, or not having to make you feel uncomfortable because you feel like you're in the right when you're absolutely not. Put your feet away and get them off someone's seat. This is Jason Momoa being a flight attendant. I believe it's for Hawaiian Airlines. It looks like it says on the cart. And he has a water company. I actually really love the idea of stars promoting hydration. I don't know if he's the official water company for Hawaiian Airlines. I think that's amazing. This is perfectly admissible in court to take photos, to take videos of him. This is the one time where it's promoted. It's a really good marketing ploy. He wants to be taken, have this type of attention here because he's promoting his water. I originally thought that this was a flight attendant that just looked like Jason Momoa, but apparently it actually is him. I love the flower. I love the Hawaiian heritage. Imagine him being your flight attendant. But in any other case, if you do see a famous person out in public, you see Jennifer Aniston at Ralph's, or you see Beyonce at Target, don't ask for a photo. Let them live their life. A lot of people might take a picture of them. Let them live their life. They're people. If nobody believes you, then that's their closed-mindedness. That's their scarcity mindset, if you want to say it like that. I live in Los Angeles, and I have seen quite a few famous people at the grocery store doing regular things, or they'll pass me by and I'll think, is that really that person? Yes, 1,000% it is. I have sat next to someone at a really nice restaurant and there was someone famous there. Let them eat. You just let them live their life, because that's so annoying. People all day are hounding you. I guess it might be fun at first. Remember that they are people. In this case, he is doing a meet and greet situation because he's promoting his water. So there is a time and place to ask for autographs, ask for a picture. Their presence is the ultimate situation here, where they want you to promote their presence in this situation.
Flight attendant knows if you are unwilling or unable to operate the exit or do not meet the exit seat requirements.
When the whole plane wants to know why your suitcase is vibrating.
Okay.
I definitely think they're overreacting in this case, and they think it's funny. They're being silly. I don't know if they've had alcohol. This isn't that funny. You can just get away with it by opening your suitcase, staying on the aircraft, and closing it. You don't have to get off the aircraft. I think you're making an even bigger scene by giggling about it. If you are embarrassed by it, if you genuinely are, you can turn it off and then tell the story to your friends later. If people are asking, then say it's your toothbrush. Stay on the aircraft, because once they close doors, they can't let you back in. The airline rules and FAA rules don't do anything to jeopardize your plane ticket, your flight. This is a simple open and shut case. What we're seeing here is turbulence. This is going through a storm. This is a Paraguay flight, flew through an intense thunderstorm, sustained damage before making an emergency landing in Asunción, Paraguay. They had to divert to Foz do Iguaçu due to weather. This is scary. This is where my flight school kicks in. For those of you who don't know, turbulence is air pockets. In this situation, it is a bit more serious. The pilot's job is to mitigate the situation. The passenger's job is to buckle their seatbelt. Say there's an air pocket that's rougher than the rest. It feels like a speed bump in the air, and all the overhead bins fly out with all the items scattering everywhere. So this is why you have to stay bolted in your seatbelt. Make sure you follow that light on that says put your seatbelt on so that you don't go up with the impact and hit your head on the aircraft. I have seen people with bruises or cuts because people didn't have their seatbelt on. It truly is a surprise where it happens out of random. Usually it's something very predictable because there is the ForeFlight app which helps your flight path, and if you can go out in good weather. This is IFR weather, which is really scary if you have a bunch of passengers, and there are a lot of people who have an aversion to this in general. Stay calm. If you believe in one, pray to a higher up. Don't scream. When someone screams, it makes other people scream. Calmness breeds calmness. I know you might not be feeling so calm at the time. Your heart might be beating through your chest. Focus on your breathing. I'm the type of person who actually doesn't freak out in scenarios like this. I'm more of an action person, so try to think of all the solutions rather than all of the problems that could arise. This is something that I've been trained to do as a kid. For example, when my house in the Hollywood Hills was being evacuated during the fires in Los Angeles, I thought I was going to lose absolutely everything, which I did not. Luckily, thank goodness, touch wood. But I was prepared no matter what to solve the problem. So rewire your brain to solve the problem if that helps you get out of the panic mindset. Panic will just heighten your stress levels and you can't think clearly. Think of 1,000 ways that this can go right. Keep your seatbelt on. Do your best to stay calm. Even when other people are panicking, panic on the inside. In the stories of the Titanic of people who did survive, there were the upper classes who were ready to go down with the Titanic and they put on their best white tie suit. They said, I'm going to die a gentleman. Think with this attitude, we are above the situation. We have a handle of ourselves, of how we react. Whatever life throws at us, we can handle. What would you do if your neighbor was using an obnoxious flashing charger for the entirety of a 6-hour overnight flight? It's a red eye. Oof. Just get regular things, people. If you have the ability to, if you are privileged enough to travel, if there is no need for an adapter, I will use what I already have. Makes perfect sense. But the light, this is unnecessary. It's fun to have whimsical things, but I am very much averse to having childish things when you grow up. It's fun to have tchotchkes, little toys. That belongs on your shelf, but I don't like when people have an LED background in their room, especially gamers, where it changes color. It's so tacky and cheap looking. It's also cheaper to get a regular charger. People need to grow up when they're out about in public. If you have this at home, that's perfectly admissible. Just be an adult when you're doing adult things like flying.
So loud. So loud. So loud. No, it's fine. It's just hilarious.
Bring headphones. I have these headphones from Amazon. This is the regular adapter for, 25.25 inch, specifically for airlines out in public and for my laptop, because AirPods take more effort and cost to charge when you are abroad. If I don't have the right adapter to charge my AirPods, it's not the right voltage. $10 on Amazon. I will have them linked below. They're also for the sake of hygiene because they do not clean the earphones on the airplane. If you smell the blankets, they smell sweaty and gross. Bring your own blanket. If you see the headphones, they're probably disinfected really quickly because there are so many of them, but don't expect them to be thorough. I just bring my own because of multiple reasons. You don't have to charge them. And also, if you drop your AirPods on the ground, you don't have to search for them. You just grab the wire and trace where the earphone is. So this is a really great help. These are overlooked. I used to think that AirPods were everything, but I travel internationally way too much for them to make sense. So what I would do when I traveled was I would bring 2 pairs of AirPods. I borrowed one from someone else, and then I had mine, a family member, and I would alternate when one would die because they also die very fast. It's unnecessary to bring as many things that you can charge when you travel. So try to limit that. Bring headphones with wires because this is going to be a huge help. I was on a flight to a Nordic country back when I used to live in the Nordics. It's Nordic, so it's very considerate culture where you could leave $100,000 cash outside and it's with the police the next day. Similar to Japan, where Japan it would be out there still on the street the next day, nobody will touch it. It's very important to be considerate of others. I remember the person who had a laptop, the full sound, the full effect of the sound of this action film, and it was at top volume because it's kind of loud on a plane. It looks like this couple has a smaller device, a phone or just a really small tablet. They have it at full volume because it is so loud on an aircraft. It's affecting other people. Using your device on an aircraft with full blast sound in public, to me, is similar to secondhand smoke. You affect other people. There are other people that are involved in this situation. On that particular flight, the flight attendant immediately went up to him and said, "Excuse me, sir, can you either please use some earphones or turn it down?" He immediately took out his earphones. I don't know if they gave him earphones or he used his own, but I remember the sound immediately stopping and he was kind about it. Also to note in this, I'm not sure exactly who is talking, but they say it's loud. They are using passive aggression as opposed to simply communicating kindly, because in etiquette, when you have no idea what to do, revert to kindness. If you don't want to have a direct confrontation, talk to the flight attendant and say, "I don't want to be of any trouble. We're trying to get some rest and have a peaceful flight. It's a little bit loud. Is there a way to kindly tell them to turn it down or to put earphones in?" You can also get a jack that has the double earphones. When I would fly with other people and I know someone's going to sit next to me, we would either have the double jack, where you can get it on Amazon for less than $10 for our headphones, or you can share one headphone, one AirPod each, or wired headphones and have one each. These people are very kind to pass it down along and actually wind up the ball of yarn. They don't need to do this, but this is good etiquette. This is Dixon etiquette approved. So good job on these people. When you have one person doing an act of kindness, people have a tendency to pass it on because they want to keep up with the same energy, and you have to lead with kindness and doing the things that you would do for yourself or do for someone else. We have a platinum rule: treat others as they wish to be treated. So if you would give someone the utmost kindness in a situation and utmost grace, perpetuate that. Once I was waiting at my gate at an airport where there was a woman with 3 little children, well under 7 years old, really, really little. She had 3 different huge bags, 1 suitcase. The little kids were scrambling around. She had 2 on her lap, 1 playing with another person's child. The gate was absolutely packed full of people. Her suitcase fell over. One man sitting next to me, I was directly across from her sitting. One man just stared, didn't do anything. He didn't get up, didn't even pretend to try to help. He just sat there and looked at it. He was in his 40s or 50s, a grown man not helping. Then there was a counter here where people were asking for help. There was a guy standing at the counter asking for help, turned around, saw the suitcase on the floor just fallen within 2 seconds of it happening, stepped over it and kept on walking. Nobody helped her. This was all within the span of less than 5 seconds. I immediately picked it up and smiled. I don't understand people. This is basic courtesy, baseline consideration. Apparently, the bar for courtesy is down in heck. Thoughts on a 5-year-old being spoon-fed by a flight attendant? We aren't judging or shaming, just curious what you think. Also, this video was taken by the father, posted publicly on his account. You can't see the child's face. That's good. Keep their privacy. I can only share my experience as a former flight attendant. At my airline, it was actually against policy to feed passengers. If someone needed assistance, they were responsible for having a caregiver traveling with them. Moreover, the ratio, specifically in the United States, is 1 to 50. 1 flight attendant for every 50 passengers, so not exactly logistically possible if it were allowed. This is not saying one is better than the other. I'm showing the differences between airlines. I remember watching a documentary on Singapore Airlines, and they essentially go through finishing school for training before in the sky, which is really fabulous in my personal opinion, because they teach them how to fix their uniform properly, how to coif their hair, how to do their makeup, know their color theory, how to speak articulately and kindly. It's grace all around. They even give them comportment lessons on how to walk, sit, bend over properly with speaking. When speaking with passengers, this is known as comportment. This is the way you carry yourself. And I think this is top marks to Singapore Airlines. I'm not sure what exactly the protocol is at Singapore Airlines, but this is very along the lines. The standard is very high. It seems to align with Singaporean culture, with a lot of East Asian culture. I'm very, very pleased to see this. It's sweet, it's attentive. But I don't know if this is a mother. It's possible they could be related. We don't know. We don't know the backstory. And it's also possible that the child could have special needs and they're giving the father a break. This is really humbling, heartfelt, how kind people are. I've also noticed that no matter how rude someone is being, they're very gracious. They will handle it very well, which is something very regal, something I can see a queen, a king, a prince or princess doing. This is how we should treat everyone. That should be the whole video, but it's not.
What are you doing, man?
Touch me again and see.
Oh, you'll touch me.
You touch me,
You'll touch
mother.
me.
Yeah, I'm waiting right here.
What's your mouth?
Watch your mouth. Child, who you think you talking
Then what are you gonna do? You're gonna jump over
to?
the
Yeah,
edge?
I'm waiting right here. I don't do what the you tell me to do. Who the is you? Yeah, all right. Child, I ain't the child. I said, excuse me, I tried to be quiet.
This was incredibly rude. This person was acting like he was disrespected when he was the one in the wrong. I see this a lot on a day-to-day basis where they blame the person who the thing is happening to. This is giving me LaGuardia or Newark or going into Jersey from New York. If you've ever been to Newark, let me know in the comments below. This is the exact vibe of the entire airport of aggressiveness, of roughness. When you're on any type of flight or at an airport, it's already going to be stressful. So don't add to the stress. Just wait. It looks like everyone's waiting. If you have a connecting flight and you really need to be somewhere, you can talk to the flight attendant. They will make an announcement to say, please let these passengers with the connecting flights go first, and they will immediately exit as fast as possible. This has happened to me on several occasions. This is totally normal. Just let the flight attendant know well in advance. And something else I like to do, since the flight attendants are usually seasoned with flying to certain routes, you can ask them, do you happen to know where this terminal is? My gate is supposed to be here if it says on your ticket, because sometimes they announce it as they go and you don't have a gate yet. But when you do know your gate, you can ask the flight attendant and they will say, oh, that's all across the other side of the airport, so it's going to take you 20 minutes to get there. Make sure that once we land, I'm going to make an announcement. You get off first and you run. That happened to me where I ran and ran and ran. I was in heels. I had a big old backpack and a trench coat and a sweater underneath. I was with someone who was much taller, but they were trying to run my speed. And I said, you can run faster than me. Go and run to the gate. Tell them I am on my way. We are less than 1 minute away. I can see the gate from here, but it's very far. I know you can run faster than me, so go. Common sense is not common. And so the person ran. They said, oh, it's just in time that I came to the gate and they said we were about to close it. They said 1 minute, she's going to be right here. I said, I know, I'm always right. So get used to it. You can always, always, always dare to ask kindly, say thank you when they give you the information, when they can help you, when they do help you, even if they don't help you with enough information, because flights can be finicky when airlines close down in the midst of your trip. That's happened to me. A lot of stressful things happen. This is not a very stressful situation that I can see. This man is creating stress. We want to de-escalate. The man who was sitting down, I think he was very much disrespected in this, because one, the guy who's jumping over him said, why are you touching me? If you have your crotch over someone, they are not touching you and you're blaming them, you are the problem. This man was kind of surprised, I think. Then he kind of hits him. I don't know if it's on accident, if his body is in such an awkward position, because it's so cramped in economy, no matter, even on business, you're still cramped. It's still a small space. You can only do so much on a jet. I don't know if it's for not standing up, because people aren't even moving down the queue yet. They're not even going down the line. It's possible he just has the anxiety of, I want to get my bag. All you have to do is wait. Be prompt, but you don't have to rush other people around. If you really are in a rush, always tell the flight attendant. They will help you. They will totally understand and make sure that you have your connecting flight, because then it falls badly on them if they cannot help you as much as they can. You did your part. I think the man did not handle it very well. Neither of them did. They were cursing at each other. I feel like the man in the orange was definitely justified to be upset, but the man who hopped over him immediately started cursing at him. There's no need for expletives. Just say, if you really are in a rush, you can tell the person and ask them kindly, is it possible that I can hop over you so that I can reach my connecting flight? Talk to them very kindly. It takes 2 seconds. This exchange went on for a little bit longer and is more uncomfortable for a little more of a while, simply because the man was not being courteous. This is very basic. All you have to do is be kind. The world is a mirror. Smile and it will smile back. I really do find it annoying when people stand up right away. Visit DixonEtiquette.com if you want more etiquette, elegance, and being polished altogether, because you are a diamond. You are already valuable. You already have all the things you need. It's a matter of being pointed in the right direction. Sometimes we don't have all the information, but that's what Dixon Etiquette is for. It's an online finishing school you can access anytime. It's $27 right now. The prices are going to go up because we're adding some upgrades, so hop on that right now. Once you add polish to a diamond, that's when it's worth even more. Remember that when you don't know what to do when it comes to etiquette, revert to kindness. If you want more videos, subscribe, click the bell, tell all your friends, watch this several thousand times. I'll have another one here and or linked below with other related videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.